Good evening. We would like to reconvene the meeting that was originally started yesterday afternoon, the organizational meeting, and there was one item that we carried over till today. So that item that we need to take care of is the election of the vice chair position, a one-year term. And but before we do that, we want to say welcome to Mr. Whitesides, who is joining the commission from District 1. So congratulations, and we are all really looking forward to working with you. And after we take care of this one business item, we're gonna adjourn this meeting, take a short break, and then we will reconvene for our regularly scheduled business meeting in a few minutes. So, but I wanted to say welcome, and when we do that, we'll have a chance to probably say that again. Okay, but on to the item before us. We need to appoint a vice chair for 2017, a one-year term. And do we need to have it on TV? Is that the question? Okay, all right. Well, we had two. I think we had two nominations made yesterday. But why don't we just start fresh? So, are there any nominations?
I'll nominate Mike Fryer.
Commissioner Mike Fryer is nominated. I will nominate Commissioner Ellen Frost. Are there any other nominations? Great. All right. Well, seeing no more, then let's just begin with Commissioner Frost's side, and I'd like to ask each commissioner to state which preference you have for the vice chair position.
Frost.
Frost. Fryer.
Frost.
Frost.
Fryer.
Great. Thank you. Commissioner Frost, I believe, got 4 votes, and Commissioner Fryer got 3. So congratulations, Commissioner Frost. You'll be our vice chair for 2017. This is a position that traditionally rotates annually, so we appreciate everyone's willingness to do that, and we will, I think we've accomplished what we needed to do for this meeting, and so.
Motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved. Very good.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Great. We are adjourned. We're back. Good evening. We'd like to call the December 6, 2016 meeting of the Buncombe County Commission to order. And we will begin with our pledge of allegiance. Please stand.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to begin this meeting with a recognition that tomorrow is the 75th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor, which initiated our country's involvement in the Second World War. And I'd like to read a short excerpt from that was written by Tom Brokaw, who we all know wrote a best-selling book about the Greatest Generation. This was published in the Citizen Times this week. The Citizen Times did a great series of stories on the 75th anniversary of the Pearl Harbor attack. So I'd like to just read this. There would be little sleep for Roosevelt. He had a speech to deliver Monday morning, one that would become the first salvo from the Commander-in-Chief in World War II. Its opening has never lost its emotional and historic impact. Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a day which will live in infamy, the United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by the naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. He described how the attack came as the United States was in talks with the Japanese government to maintain peace in the Pacific. Then he ticked off Japan's other surprise attacks the day before against Malaya, Hong Kong, Guam, the Philippines, Wake, and Midway Islands. It was an eloquent call to arms and launched the United States into history's greatest war when Germany declared war on America 4 days later. Now, 75 years later, Japan and Germany are allies of the United States. As for Pearl Harbor, this scenic sunny alcove in the Pacific is at once a tale of unexpected treachery, failed vigilance, and above all, individual heroism and the power of America's unleashed moral might. It was the birthplace of what I came to call the greatest generation, the American men and women who went to war against the madness of Nazi Germany and the Imperial Japan and saved the world with their selfless and heroic actions on the home front as on distant battlefields. So I would like for us to just take a moment of silence to remember those who have sacrificed, including the greatest sacrifice to protect our country, to protect our communities. Locally, we want to give thanks to those who have been on the front lines fighting to protect our own communities from the recent wildfires. And so let's take a moment to appreciate all those who work for our community and our country and to reflect on the blessings of peace. Thank you. Before we move on to our other agenda items, we do want to officially welcome Albert Whitesides as the newest member of the Buncombe County Commission. Yesterday, we had the good fortune to swear in Commissioner Jasmine B. Ferrara, Robert Presley, Commissioner Joe Belcher, who was reelected, and I have the honor to be sworn in as chair. And today, just before this meeting, we swore in Albert Whitesides to represent Albert Whitesides to represent District 1 on the Buncombe County Commission. Commissioner Whitesides, we're so glad you're with us, and we look forward to working with you. And would you like to say a few words?
No, just that I'm looking forward to working with all of you, and hopefully together we can get a lot done for the citizens of Buncombe County. That's why I'm here.
Well, welcome aboard. Your experience in the community and the qualifications you bring to us will serve you well here, and we all look forward to working with you. We will now take public comment, and I'd like to just read a few of our procedures for that. The time limit for any comment to the board is 3 minutes. If your time expires, then you may leave any questions along with your name, address, and phone number with the county manager. Board members are not expected to comment on matters during the public comment period. This is the time where the public can speak to us, and we are here to listen. And people may comment on any matters that are on the agenda this evening or any other matters they wish to speak to the board about. And we will now open public comment. Is there anyone who would like to comment this evening? Keith Thompson.
Thank you, Chairman Newman. Thank you, members of the commission and county manager. I just wanted to say something special about Alfred Whitesides, because my children, who grew up in Asheville City Schools, and now one serves in the United States Coast Guard and the other works in Research Triangle Park in technology. Al was on the board of the Asheville City Schools during the time my children were growing up. So it's very personal to me to say I look forward to all of y'all working together for the students who are still in our public schools to continuing to improve our school system, continue to prepare young people for being able to be of service to our nation and to their own families, and to prepare to make life better in our community, as those of you who've been on the board and those of you who served on the board with prior members have always been able to do in terms of bringing the future for Buncombe County forward, and I hope you will continue to all work together to do the same thing. So thank you, and a special congratulations to Mr. Whitesides. Thank you.
Mr. Rice.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. You did a good job on that Pearl Harbor. If you think about it, there's plenty of older folks in the community now that used to be children back then. And we came from a family of 19, and our oldest brother was killed in World War II. And from that day, mother drew a check from him that kept our family going. Even as a kid, I remember it so well, and didn't know the extent of it till later in life, and realized what that meant to our family, just to have that. It was not only an honor for him to serve, but what he did for the family for the future. And we'll never forget that. It's a blessing. Welcome, Mr. Whiteside. We appreciate you serving. And I'd have to say that it's a special significance to you, Mr. Whiteside, because you have been in the school system. And the rest of you, we appreciate you all too. But I'm going to say this, and I'll hold you to it later on. But there's some serious problems with the school system, not only the city, but the county. We're not educating the most vulnerable kids in the way that we should. They're not being given the opportunity. We'll get into more graphic detail, and I don't think I have to give Mr. Whiteside much detail because he knows what's there. And I think he knows what's lacking. We've got classrooms busting at the seams. We need help in the service end of special education. We don't have enough people serving in that capacity. We don't have enough people as teachers serving in that capacity. They're putting them out into the regular school environment, and that regular school environment is not meeting the needs of these children, and they're packing the rooms with 28 and 30 kids, and this is a phenomenon across the state. This is not just here. We ought to do better than this. We've done a good job building buildings and getting the buildings in place. Now we need to focus on the education end of it, because that's where we need to focus. We're going to have the future sitting up there of those kids that we're talking about right now. We better educate them well, because it's going to be a handful to deal with. So in the future here, we're going to have some more to say about education. I'm glad you're a banker background too, because we got a lot of money coming next year from this tax increase. And we'd like for you to weigh in on that one.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public who would like to comment this evening? Seeing none, I'd like to move on to the approval of the consent agenda and agreement to follow our agenda for the meeting. Is there a motion to follow the agenda, including approval of the consent agenda? There's a motion and a second. Any comments? None. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. We have no public hearings, and we have no county manager's report for this evening, so the next item on our agenda is new business. And the first item is a resolution of intent to convey property to Habitat for Humanity Incorporated. And we'll hear from Dr. Wanda Green on this item.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, in early October, we brought before you 5 parcels of property that we really wanted to sell because we did not have a county use for them. 2 of those pieces of property were in Avery Park subdivision, and as the board reviewed the proposal on October 4th, you asked us to go back and work with our affordable housing partners to see if we could do anything with the 2 Avery Creek properties and one other piece of property. Well, just so you know a little bit about the property, one of them is a 1322 Double Knob Drive. It's 1.17 acres. The other is 108 Smokemont Drive at 0.95 acres. This is a subdivision. If you go out Brevard Road, reach the intersection with Bloomridge, South Cliff, and Avery Park Road come together, you turn out Avery Park Road. It's almost 4 miles out to these properties. The planning department did reach out to our affordable housing partners, and we do have a partner who made a proposal to us. We'll tell you, we tried for a very long time to sell these at an upset bid and were not able to do that. We took them on foreclosure, and would just remind you that with the general and special assessments for each parcel, we are incurring between $4,000 and $5,000 a year in expenses. So I'd like to ask Cynthia Barclay to come forward and explain the proposal we have before us.
Chairman Newman and members of the board, I think the county manager described it pretty well. These 2 parcels, they're both in the Avery Park subdivision. They're both zoned the same, they're R1. Each of them has a touch of steep slope, high elevation overlay. And Asheville Area Habitat for Humanity has agreed that they would like to be conveyed these 2 properties. I wanted to recognize in the audience we have Andy Barnett, who is the new Director of Habitat for Humanity. Andy, thank you for being here. We appreciate all that your organization does. And as a condition of this conveyance, Habitat will agree to further the purposes of affordable housing in the county. Are there any questions?
I do have one question. Is the TV's on out there and not here? Okay.
Any other questions? Great, thank you. Before we vote on this matter, I neglected to read the ethics reminder at the beginning of the board meeting, so I'd like to read that. In accordance with the Code of Ethics adopted by the board, all county commissioners have a duty to obey all applicable laws regarding official actions, to uphold the integrity and independence of the office, to avoid impropriety in the exercise of official duties, to faithfully perform the duties of the office, and to conduct the affairs of the governing board in an open and public, transparent manner. Are there any items on the agenda, the outcome of which would have a direct, substantial, and readily identifiable financial impact for any board member? Also, does any board member have a financial interest in any public contract coming before this board today? Seeing none, all board members have a duty and obligation to vote on each item that will be voted on this evening. Are there any other questions about the resolution of intent to convey property to Habitat for Humanity?
I have one question. Are we doing one vote for both deeds or one each?
One vote for both deeds would be fine.
So, the motion is to,
Okay, both pieces of property to Habitat with the restriction that it be used for affordable housing.
yeah, I'll make that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any other comments? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Great. Passes unanimously. The next item on our agenda is a resolution against discrimination and intimidation. And I will call upon Commissioner Jasmine Beach Farrar to begin the conversation.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
can I make a motion? With myself and you and 2 other commissioners and you, I would like to put this off till the next meeting to have more information go off of.
Okay, there's a motion.
I'll second.
And there's a second. Are there other comments on the motion?
Only thing I can say on his motion would be that would give more time for, one gentleman just came on last night.
Robert Snow, Jasmine Snow. Al just came on with us and just got sworn in. That would give more time for the seven of us to get together and actually individually with other people and come up with, there may be different wording on different parts of it that some of us like to change.
Are there other comments on the motion?
When I look at the resolution, I can see why we might want to put it off. But what I think is positive about it is when we look at the environment that we're in, and especially after this election, and when you hear what's going on both sides, and when I have my 10-year-old grandson, who you just saw in here, when he comes home and talks about how kids are talking about it at elementary school, I think it's important that we set the example to the community to let them know that when it comes to this hate speech and all, I know this is not law, but we need to set an example for the community, because it's time for us to, let's get past the election and start living our lives in Buncombe County and do it in a way that complements everybody. You know, we can't just sit back and bury our heads in the sand, folks, with some of this. It's got to go. You know, and especially when you look at what's on the internet and what's out there. I mean, it's just, I have some problems with that. You know, I went through this in the 60s, and darn if I want to go through it again today.
I couldn't agree more with what Commissioner Whiteside has said. And part of being a leader, being in elected office, is to set an example. And sure, this isn't a law, but it's a strong statement that Buncombe County doesn't stand for this. And I can't see the point of postponing it. This is not something complicated. We're simply saying we don't want people discriminated against. We're a loving, inclusive community of all stripes. That's what people come to Buncombe County for, from all stripes. And to say that we need to postpone something about discrimination and intimidation, I don't understand. What's going to change? How are we going to change a word? When people are being ridiculed at grocery stores, when I talk to people at Buncombe County schools, and they say how they've never seen such violence and intimidation, and yet we as leaders of Buncombe County need to think about it.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. I think we need to keep the conversation to the motion, not the overall integrity of the resolution, which I think everything that said, people would agree with that. It's a simple motion made by a new commissioner who is concerned about it and would like more time to review it, and that's all it is. And we all have very deep feelings, and we're all compassionate. Everybody on this board is compassionate towards the people of Buncombe County. I know everybody agrees. Everybody up here would amen that and nod their head that we're all that way. It's just that's a simple request over there. I don't want it to be made out, and I'm not saying anybody is. I just don't want it to go into that direction because it's just a simple request.
Well, I appreciate that. I think the comments have been in response to the motion, though, and I think they should remain so. We didn't really have a chance to sort of talk about it a little bit before we jumped right to a procedural motion, so in some ways people probably need to share some of their high-level thoughts about this along with responding to the specific procedural proposal that's on the table before us. Other folks who haven't commented yet?
To comment in a way narrow in scope to the proposal on the table, there's a lot of a learning curve for those of us who are new here, but I urge us to vote on this matter today because of the urgency of the situation in the community and part of the leadership responsibility to act swiftly when there's a situation that needs immediate attention or being addressed. And that's the context in which I think there's a justification for proceeding with this expeditiously, and with it a commitment to
continuing to be in dialogue as a body as we move forward.
Are there any other comments on the motion? I'd like to go ahead and vote on this procedural resolution, and if it passes, then it'll go into effect. If it doesn't pass, we'll continue the discussion on the resolution itself, and we can have more discussion of that, and I will also, there will be public comment on this resolution too. So let's go ahead and, if there's no other comments on the procedural resolution, I'd like to ask everyone who's in favor of the proposal to defer the resolution until the next meeting to vote aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. No. There are 3 members in favor of the procedural motion and 4 against. So the motion fails. Let's go back to consideration of the resolution. Commissioner Beach-Ferraro.
I just want to briefly share a bit of context about where this resolution originated and its intent. And that begins with acknowledging that Weaverville passed a resolution with exactly this text recently. And in many ways, we are following their leadership example in this moment. As you all know, of course, a resolution is a tool for expression. And in this resolution, we seek to express, reiterate, and affirm a set of core values and commitments, and in doing so, have a platform for communicating to the broader community. A resolution is not and should not be interpreted as a piece of legislation, an intent to regulate or legislate behavior, or in any way infringing upon basic First Amendment rights to free speech and freedom of belief and association. I think that clarification is important in setting some context and clarifying the intent of this resolution. Specifically, the intent is to express to residents of Buncombe County our core commitments to being a welcoming, diverse, and inclusive community in every sense of the word. That includes the wide range of identities that residents of our community carry, the wide range of religious beliefs and faith perspectives, and the wide range of political beliefs and ideologies. Part of the beauty of our community, and at times a source of challenge, I think, to us honestly, is how we can be welcoming and inclusive truly to all. This is not a partisan issue. It's about basic core values of decency and fairness. Sometimes in government, there's a tendency to say in 500 words what could actually be said in 6. So if you'll bear with me, my translation of this resolution is love your neighbor and love your enemy. This is an opportunity, I believe, for us to lead by example. Thank you.
Are there other comments on the resolution or motion?
Should the motion be read in its entirety? I'm not the motion, but the resolution?
I'm happy to read the resolution.
No problem.
Resolution against discrimination and intimidation. Whereas Buncombe County takes great pride in being a welcoming and diverse community where all citizens can live and work without fear of physical violence, threats of intimidation, and whereas Buncombe County believes that promoting diversity and inclusion in public policy benefits our community and its citizens in positive ways, while the opposite puts the community and its citizens at risk. Whereas Buncombe County is committed to treating every citizen equally and without regard to race, color, religion, ethnicity, national origin, place of birth, ancestry, native language or accent, citizenship, immigrant status, gender, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, age, familial status, physical or mental disabilities. Now, therefore, be resolved by the Buncombe County Board of Commissioners for the County of Buncombe as follows. 1, this board is dedicated to ensuring that Buncombe County remains a welcoming and diverse community where everyone is treated equally and with respect, and to that end states that hate crimes, threats of intimidation, or any kind or manner will not be tolerated. And every citizen of this county is called upon to demonstrate that intolerance and hatred will not be accepted within our community. And anyone who feels that they are being or have been discriminated against, harassed, or intimidated, or have witnessed such acts should make a note of any information that may be helpful in identifying the perpetrators of the discriminatory actions and contact the appropriate law enforcement official. That this resolution shall be effective upon its adoption.
Are there further comments or a motion?
I would probably like to add a resolution if we're going to pass it tonight. Would that be possible here?
Please proceed. You have the floor.
We, as we've been talking, and I've listened to the resolution and I've listened to Jasmine, Buncombe County has probably been, over the years, you either worked for one political party or you didn't work for Buncombe County. And that was not right in my eyes. And I learned this many years ago. I am from an opposite party that works here. A lot of people that work here in years after have told me, if you didn't work for this party, you didn't get a job because they checked to see how you were registered. If you wanted to do work in this county, you had to be of the same party. So in my eyes, I call that discrimination too. If we want to call everything else in that area is discrimination. We're talking about schools. We spend a lot of money, and I want to spend all the money. I want AB Tech to be good. I want all of our schools to be good, and I want our kids to learn. But the one thing I'd like to see put in this resolution, and it's pretty simple, is that we have very good teachers. But when the teacher walks through the front door to school, politics stays at the front door. Because we spend a lot of money in them areas. And we have had complaints, and if you don't believe it, you can ask the superintendent. So the areas that I'm looking at is if we all want to vote on something that's been put forward, let's amend it to make sure that whoever wants to work for this county, that it don't matter what party they're from, it's if they can do the job. And then if we're going to spend the kind of money with teachers that we're spending in the schools and the places that they have to work in, that all I'm asking is these teachers leave their political views at the front door. Both sides don't matter to me. That's what I'm asking for.
I think it's important to remember that we don't have any jurisdiction over the schools. We can advise, but the schools run themselves. So I think,
We don't have any jurisdiction over the people of Buncombe County either.
well, I think,
That's what the resolution says.
I think it's a dicey thing to start dictating what can be taught in schools. And what this says is that we support everything that you're saying. This says that we're supported, but if we start dicing and chopping and adding things, it takes away the weight. We're basically saying, we just don't want people discriminated against. It's a blanket, we don't want people discriminated against.
Commissioner Beach-Ferraro?
Commissioner Fryer, may I ask, would the addition of the phrase political party into the third whereas statement address your concern?
That helps, but I still think because we put so much money into the schools, and we do spend the teachers, and the teachers, we want good teachers. They need to be teaching what's in school. They don't need to be teaching my political stuff at lower grades, and they don't need to be teaching English. That's what I'm saying. This is our money. This is the taxpayers' money. Yes, we do furnish the schools. We do spend the money to keep these schools going. And these teachers work in these schools. There has been 3 incidents I know of, okay, that things like this has happened to the kids in school. They didn't like it. It was brought forward. So when you're harassing the people in that respect, kids in school, these are K through 9 kids, not college kids or UNCA or AB Tech. You're putting path of guidance. Let all I'm asking is let the students make a decision as they grow in life to what party they would like to be a part of, or what they would like in life. That's all I'm asking, is if we're gonna invest the money in the education side, and I want to, and I still will, whether we vote on this, or vote for it, or vote against it, I'm still 100% for this. But this, you know, this is things that we honestly, and I honestly think that, you know, we need to do. The county has been wrong for a long time, and I understand that. And people need to understand that. Now it's just getting out. The diversity side is just getting out. The whole sides are just getting out over the years. You know, it goes back to diversity. I don't want to see anybody harmed in any way, period. You know, it's just like she's talking to people in schools or people here or there. Well, there's people went up here to this auditorium for a rally for a person that's in my party, and I never heard so many F words in my life thrown out at us. You know, so that's the tough side of the whole picture, because people are going to be people, and you or me or anyone else can't stop people from going to that auditorium and putting out what they want to do. You just can't tell them that they're not going to do that. And we're just trying to tell people, no, it's not a law. No, it's not a law. This is something that, you know, we're just putting something out there. It's a feel-good. It's a fast and loose way to bring something in as a feel-good. And what I was trying to say is, if we put it aside, we could all sit down with each other and come up with different wording. I didn't have anything to do with this wording at all. I don't think Mr. Presley did. I know Al didn't, and I'm not sure Mr. Belcher did. You know, that's the way I look at it, is give us an opportunity. I come in here with 7 of us, and I want to work together. That's what I want to do. And I want to intend on working together.
I'd like to make a motion, we approve the resolution with the addition of political party in the third whereas.
Okay, there's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Are there other comments on the motion?
Let me comment as far as the schools are concerned. Now, I don't know about Buncombe County, but I spent 8 years on the city school board. Unless things have changed, this wasn't permitted, you know. If it was a complaint from parents or whatever, it was looked into, but I wasn't aware of any of. In the 8 years I was on the city school board, and boy, I heard a lot of complaints during that time. But this is not one that I heard, you know, maybe I just missed it, but
Well, so can I sure, maybe take a shot at a friendly amendment to, did Mr. Frost make the?
Commissioner Frost made the
Mr. Frost
motion and seconded by-
made the motion in light of our comments from Commissioner Whiteside. Why not add to that paragraph after this? Political coercion within the school. Very simple. We don't really want that. Probably pretty simple. I think, maybe.
I don't want to, I would not want to have that.
You want to do it? All right.
Are there any other comments on the motion? All right, I do want to provide an opportunity for public comment on the motion. So we do have a motion with a second on the table. So at this time, we will allow public comment. The same policies for public comment apply at this time. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Is there anyone who would wish to comment on the resolution? Sure, yeah, come up to the mic, please. And please state your name and where you live.
Thank you. My name is Melissa Murphy. I live on Brevard Road in District 1. And this is my first county commissioner meeting, and I feel so passionately about this resolution that that's why I'm here, my first county commissioner meeting. I'm a public school teacher here in Asheville. My husband's a public school teacher here in Asheville. We have seen the increase in worry in young people. I personally know at least 3 people who've been targeted with racial language or language because they belong to a religious minority. And I think I agree with the comments that have been shared, that this is a strong opportunity for you to just show leadership. I do not think it is partisan to say that we respect all people. I do not think it's partisan to say that we stand against hate speech or intimidation. And I think it would send a huge message to our community for you all to pass this and be clear, and a huge message to our young people who are looking at us right now and hearing language and want to see our leaders stand up. So I ask you to please pass it. Thank you.
Mr. Thompson and then Mr. Rice will follow.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this. My grandparents raised me with the words, "Love thy neighbor as thyself." I think they found that in one of the books that they had in their house. I taught my children that. I think it's something that we want to teach folks. There's also a story about a fellow from Samaria that has been told about a fine gentleman from Samaria who found a fellow laying in a ditch who'd been beaten and had been passed by people on the road. And that was something that a wise man told a parable about. What a good person who wasn't a member of the dominant majority in religion at that time, who nonetheless had gone out of his way to care for someone who get him out of the ditch, get him seen taken care of, and particularly to communicate to the children in our community who do go to our public schools or to the private schools or to the charter schools that are publicly funded, to try to reach out to them and set an example that says, love thy neighbor as thyself, even if they are different, especially if they are different. And some of that, I think, comes from, just being a good person from Buncombe County. Maybe if you've ever been to Samaria, you'd know what I was talking about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This is a kind of a touchy subject. I don't know, I've been around the schools too, Mr. Whiteside. The federal law is very clear about discrimination. It's in every policy, it's in everything that you pick up in literature related to anything you do when it comes to governmental agencies or anyone else. I don't know why that there should even be an issue of bringing up a resolution, period. This is broad scope across the United States. This should be something that should have never been put on the agenda. I think it's nothing but a Democrat and Republican Party fixing to start a wildcat fit because we've got a Democrat governor going in. We've got House Bill 2, and it's going to be a cat fight for the next 4 years over this stuff. We need to look at each other as human beings, period. We need to love each other like human beings. First of all, we've let God out of our lives, and we went down the road of dictating to everyone else. And it's time we go back to the grassroots of loving one another. I mix and mingle with every kind of folks in the community. And I know we see a lot of discrimination going on. But the more we broil it, the more it's going to smell. We need to do it one to another. We don't need to broadcast it to everyone. We just need to be what we should be to each other. As far as discrimination policy, we've got it already. We don't need a resolution. We just need to say, follow what we've got. That's where we need to go with this. I'm afraid the House Bill 2 is gonna stir a stink, and the bathroom bill, that's where it stirs the stink when you get in the bathroom. And it's gonna go throughout this campaign if we don't get it straightened out now. Let's just look in the eye to each other. If you're gonna get along, don't do it subtle. Do it out in the open. So if you want a cat fight, just go to it. But it ain't gonna help the neighbors doing that.
Thank you. Are there any other people who would like to comment on the resolution? All right, seeing none, we're going to adjourn the public comment and bring it back to the table. We have a motion with a second. Are there other comments on the motion?
I think I'd also like to say that Buncombe County government, from our leadership, has a strong workplace policy against discrimination, and it is reinforced. And so to me, this resolution goes hand in glove with what we do in Buncombe County government.
I have to say, Ms. Frost is right on that, because I have it here in front of me. It basically reads exactly what we put out here tonight. There's two different versions of it. There's a personnel and unlawful workplace harassment and personnel ordinances. So we have these ordinances. We just keep piling on ordinances on top of ordinances. But I'm just like Jerry said out there. I don't want bickering, and I right now we have a new governor. That's what we have. We have a new president. So be it. That's what we have. We all have to figure out where we're at. And Al and myself both know we don't want to go back to where we ever were. Period. And that's exactly what I don't want. But you know, I do want everybody to be on the equal playing field. I want 7 people working together. We might not agree, but we can work together.
I think this is something I'm passionate about, folks. One of the problems we have in this country today is we keep pushing race under the table. We've got to talk about it. And until we talk about it, we're not going to solve the problem. We are dealing with the same problems today that I was dealing with when I was in college as a student. And the trouble is, we don't talk about it. This resolution is good. We need to keep it in front of us. You know, I hear what's been said about not, but we've got to talk about it, because if we don't, as leaders, if we don't lead, we're going to continue to have the same problems that we've had for the last 50 or 60 years over and over again. Now it's time for us as Americans to wake up and work together. And I agree with you, Mike, you know that. I believe it, I've done that all my life. We've got to work together, and we're going to disagree. But it's time for us to be honest and to lay this on the table. And we've got to do that as a community. Because if not, I'll continue to have to talk to my 10-year-old grandson. And you'll be talking to your nieces, nephews, or we need, even to each other. But we've got to deal with it. And this resolution, I think it's good. It keeps it before. That's my 2 cents.
All right, are there other, anyone else like to comment who hasn't commented?
I think I'm going to comment after the amendments, but because then we'll vote on the other, right?
There is not an amendment. The motion that was made by Commissioner Frost includes the language that, about discrimination based on a person's political affiliation.
Okay.
That's
All right.
part of the resolution.
Okay. All right, so I will talk. Number one, I appreciate the conversation between the commissioners, and this is what you have to have when, if you're looking at a resolution that you saw, when the packet came out, and you haven't had an opportunity to have those discussions with each other, then this is a good way to do that and to have that discussion. I think that I'm 100% accurate in saying that every commissioner up here, including the newly elected, elected ones that I know by what they have done, is that for the most part, they're going to lead with their heart. And I think that's what you're hearing tonight, is people want to lead with their heart. And that's great. This country is founded upon certain religious principles that I hold extremely dear to my heart. I've said it before. I'm a student of Scripture. I believe that if I laid the good book up here, we wouldn't have to write any more resolutions, since people really believed it from cover to cover. That's my personal opinion. Now, I also believe that when we attempt to write something, it tends to be more complicated and more language in it than probably necessary. I also believe that we, as Commissioner Whiteside has said, we do have a problem with our vision and the way that we look at each other. It has nothing to do with behavior, some of which I may or may not agree with. It has to do with allowing us to live in a country free. People need to respect my deeply held religious convictions. We need to do that. I think this is a complicated way of actually supporting my beliefs as a citizen and as a commissioner that are deep and devout. I also think it does some other things. Scripture is very clear, and it says to love the Lord thy God with all thy heart. That's number one. Number two, to love thy neighbor as thyself. And talks about them as individuals, not necessarily what they do. The Samaritan, no one asked that Samaritan what they had done or not done. They helped the Samaritan. A lot of people passed them. And I don't agree with all the language that's in this. I don't agree with all the language that's in it. I think once elections are over, they're over. I think we instruct our children and our grandchildren that we have a very difficult task, folks, in screening what they read and what they see. And I certainly hope, and I believe this commission will work towards making sure that those eyes are protected. I think some of this does that, so I'm okay with that part of it. I'm not really okay with the overall way that it's written. I would like to have some time to tweak some of it and change it personally, but because I want to send a signal that the people in Buncombe County are to be able to live and we're to treat each other with dignity and respect, I'm going to vote for it.
Any other comments? All right, I'm going to call the question. All in favor of the resolution, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? It passes unanimously. Thank you. We're moving on to the next agenda item.
This is easy.
This is going to be hard. We need a voting delegate for the legislative.
Since I think I've made room reservations or nobody else raised their hand for this.
Hey, hold on.
Okay.
We need a voting delegate for the Legislative Goals Conference on January 12th and 13th in Raleigh. And this is where the County Commission Association will be setting its legislative agenda.
I have attended it in the past, and I'm glad that it's the Lord's pleasure.
Thank you for your willingness to do that and for doing it in the past. Is there a motion to appoint Commissioner Belcher to be our delegate from Buncombe County to the Legislative Goals Conference on January 12th and 13th?
So me.
I think Cross and each Ferrara got to first. Very close. Are there any?
Shower for you there.
Nobody's on it.
Are there any other comments on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Great. Commissioner Belcher, thank you for doing that. Yes, sir. All right. All right, we've got several board appointments we need to make, and they're listed in, let's just take them in the order that we have them on, appearing on our agenda. The first one is the Adult Care Home Community Advisory Committee. There are 6 vacancies on the board, and we have 2 candidates currently. Would someone like to make a proposal?
I'll nominate Susan Stewart and Laura Lincoln. I probably butchered that name, but yeah, I apologize. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
It's not-
yeah.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The remainders of these positions are positions that our county commissioners serve on. So let's just take them one at a time. The audit committee, Commissioner Mike Fryer has been serving on the audit committee. But we have a situation where Commissioner Whitesides has also served on this in a citizen capacity. But I believe the rules are that only one county commissioner may serve. So, have you gentlemen conferred on this matter?
We decided, yeah.
Okay, and, all right, Commissioner Whitesides, it sounds like, can I take that as a motion for Commissioner Whitesides? Okay, and a second from Commissioner Belcher. Any other, anybody else want to do this? All right, hearing none. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. The Metropolitan Planning Organization, we have 2 positions on this board. Currently, I'm serving on the board and Commissioner Frost is serving on the board. I would like to continue serving on it. And so let's take these one at a time. First, could we have a motion regarding the reappointment to the seat that I'm on?
I'll nominate Franny Newman.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of reappointing Newman to the first position, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, for the second position, Commissioner Frost has indicated she'd like to focus on some of the other boards. So I will make a motion to nominate Commissioner Jasmine Beach Ferrara for position number 2.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion? Any comments on the motion? Comments on the motion?
Well, we have other people to be,
Sure, that's all. Please feel free to proceed.
without, going
Go ahead.
on, Robert Presley.
Okay. Robert Presley is also nominated. Are there any others? All right. What I'd like to do then, since we do have two recommendations for this one, rather than just voting on the motion, let's poll the board, and we'll start with Commissioner Frost, and we'll just go down and please indicate which commissioner you would recommend for position number 2.
Beach Ferrara.
Jasmine.
Presley.
Beach Ferrara.
Beach Ferrara.
Presley.
Thank you. Beach Ferrara received 4 votes, and Commissioner Preston received 3. So Jasmine Beach Ferrara will be in the second position on the MPO.
So, Chairman,
Yes, sir.
could I make a recommendation for an alternate on that board? Because sometimes it's necessary.
Yes.
I'd like to nominate Robert Presley as alternate for the MPO.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to make Commissioner Robert Presley our alternate on the board. Are there any other comments or recommendations on the alternate position? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, that's unanimous. Thank you for doing that. We've had the alternate position, but we haven't always had it filled, so thank you for suggesting that. On the Tourism Development Authority, Commissioner Belcher is currently serving and has indicated an interest in continuing to serve. Is there a motion to reappoint Commissioner Belcher?
I'll make the motion.
So moved. Okay, Commissioner Fryer, motion, and Frost, second. Any other comments on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The Crime Stoppers Board of Directors, Ellen Frost is currently serving on that board of directors, and she has indicated that she would like to rotate off of that position. So this is an open position. Are there any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Mike Pryor.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Are there any other nominations or comments? All in favor of Commissioner Fryer for the Crime Stoppers Board of Directors, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The Health and Human Services Board, Commissioner Frost is currently serving and has indicated she would like to continue serving on that board.
I'll nominate Commissioner Frost.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or nominations? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The Riverfront Redevelopment Board, I am currently serving on that board, and but I'm open if there are others who would be interested in serving on the board. I was curious if Mr. Whitesides might be interested in serving on it, or if there are others who might be interested in serving on it.
He's not looking at
I haven't thought about it, but I do live in the neighborhood close by. Yes, I will. Yeah.
I was going to comment with his background, I think
Yeah.
it would be a good asset to that.
Yeah.
board as far
Okay,
as-
quickly, I'm going to nominate Commissioner Whiteside.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a
Yeah, I
second.
will.
Thank you for your willingness to do that. There's a lot going on there. It's a lot of activity there, a lot of investment, a lot of projects. So thank you. We have a motion and a second. There are no others. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. On the next is the Economic Development Coalition. I would like to nominate Commissioner Whitesides for this board as well.
Second.
Any other nominations?
I'll nominate Robert President.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Let's pull the board. I'll start just to shake things up. We'll start on this side at this time. Commissioner Fryer, you can begin.
Presley.
Presley.
Whitesides.
Whitesides.
President.
Whitesides.
Whiteside.
Okay. That's 4 votes for Commissioner Whitesides, so he will be appointed to the Economic Development Coalition Board. They have two other boards that are on here. There is one other board as well that's not listed here, but which I also want us to discuss this evening, which is the MSD position, which some commissioners have been discussing informally. We do have, it's a board where we don't have to have county commissioner representatives, but we currently do. So I'd like to discuss that as well. In fact, why don't we go ahead and talk about that one for just a moment. So currently,
If you do add that to the agenda and you're going to be taking a vote on it, you might want to take a vote as a commissioner.
okay, so if we're going to add this to the agenda, we will need to have a unanimous consent to add it to the agenda. So let's discuss it for a second and see if there might be a consensus on this one. So currently we have Commissioners Ellen Frost and Commissioner Joe Belcher serving on the board. I have heard that Commissioner Frost would like to continue. I've heard Commissioner Belcher indicate, would you like to comment?
Yeah, I would, I know that we've had a couple, I'd like to see, it's a great learning board. I'd really like to see Commissioner Presley take my place there. I know that I've learned a lot, and there's a lot of regional people, so it'd be similar to the MPO that you were interested in before, because you'll get a lot of additional community. You'll meet a lot of different people in the community. I think it would be good, so I would be willing to step off and allow him to do that if it's the board's play.
I think it's a great recommendation. I think that it's a great board. I used to serve on it a number of years ago, and so if you'd be willing to serve on it, I think that would be great, along with Commissioner Frost continuing to serve. Are there any other comments on this, or would this be an item we could by consensus add to the agenda to appoint Commissioner Presley and reappoint Commissioner Frost? Could there be a motion first to add this to the agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to add the 2 county commission appointments to MSD to the agenda. Any other comments on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Is there a motion to make the appointments?
So made.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second?
And that's a motion for Frost and Commissioner Presley on MSD. Any other comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, 2 more. First, the Land Sky Regional Council, our local intergovernmental planning organization. And this is an open position. I think Commissioner DeGrule was serving on that position, and I'm not sure we filled it. Well, Commissioner Moffitt recently filling that term. Okay, but it's currently open. So, is any commissioner interested, or is there a nomination for any commissioner on the Land and Sky Regional Council board position?
They have really good lunches. And it's very interesting, and it's great because it's very regional, and you get to meet a lot of people, and it's fascinating what they do. I was on it for a while.
It absolutely is. I totally agree. It's not a board where there's necessarily a lot of direct decision-making authority invested in it, but it is the place where basically local governments come together to talk about what's happening within their communities and what's happening within Western North Carolina. So I think it's a really great board, and you can have a lot of.
Former Commissioner Chair Ramsey is there a lot as well.
So when is that?
It's on Wednesdays, once a month.
Just once.
Mhm. And they serve lunch at 12:30, and the meeting starts at 1.
At the Land and Sky offices in West Asheville.
And it's right next to the Sheriff's Auxiliary station, so you can see that too. And if you're gonna be on Crime Stoppers, that's a good link, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You will like it. It's okay. I'm going to nominate Commissioner Robert Presley for the Land and Sky Regional
I'll
Council.
second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, and finally, we have the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council.
I'll nominate Jasmine Beach for
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any other comments or nominations? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Great, well, that concludes the board appointments that we have for this evening. And that concludes our business for the evening. We have several announcements on this.
So you have to go.
We do that before the announcements, or is there any reason not to go ahead and do the?
My recollection is that we usually make announcements when we come out.
Yeah.
But aren't we should probably do it now while it's televised, because we're not going to take up any other business when we come back. So let's go ahead and make the announcements now, and then we'll go into closed session. On December 7th, from 5:30 to 7 p.m., the county sustainability plan update. We will have a public comment on that process, a drop-in at PAC Library at Lord Auditorium. December 23rd, 26th, and 27th, county offices will be closed for Christmas. January 2nd, 2017, county offices will be closed for New Year's. January 3rd, the commissioners' regular meeting in room, we'll have a regular meeting in room 326 here at 200 College Street in downtown Asheville. And just for clarification on this, Dr. Green, the commissioners will not be holding a meeting on the third Tuesday of December. Okay, so this will be the last formal business meeting of the county commission in 2016. All right, can I have a motion? Yes, sir. Yes.
We have taken a look at that, and January is so full with legislative goals and new commissioner schools that I think we're gonna have to look to push and look at February for that.
All right, any other, anything else before we have a motion to go into closed session? Is there a motion to go into closed session?
Second?
Okay, there's a motion from Commissioner Cross and second from Commissioner Beach-Ferrara to go into closed session for the purposes of considering an economic development matter. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we are back in open session. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. We gotta go back in. I'll make a motion to go back into open session. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, we're back in open session. I'll hear a motion to adjourn.
Well, they're not on. I'm over here pushing the button like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, motion to turn on the, lights.